Peace and blessings, family. This is our brother Shareef with the Hour of Power. Go to Hour of Power, Shareef Hamid on YouTube. Subscribe and share so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. Please hit the share button and hit watch party so we can invite a few more people in to this short but much needed discussion. Hit the share button and hit watch party, and we'll see if a couple more people come in. I know it's a lot of different events going on around different areas revolved around Martin Luther King and commemorating his life and legacy. But I thought it was fitting to touch on this topic. The show goes on, so to speak. So again, hit the share button and hit watch party. I won't be long. Hit the share button and hit watch party. So with the Hour of Power, which I call a voice of truth, we try to be as versatile as possible with the messages that we disseminate. We try to hit on all angles. I don't have all the answers, but I try to share what I have to wake us up. And my main goal is to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people, and for us to function and act like a village, because that's the only way that we are going to rise and come back to our natural place. But sometimes we have to discuss some uncomfortable topics that may not be the most comfortable thing, but if someone is really your friend, if someone is really in your corner and trying to help you, everything is not always going to be comfortable. And if you're really trying to develop and you're really trying to be pleasing to the Most High, you got to do some self-reflection sometime, including myself. So it's going to be some things that are always not that comfortable. So I've been constantly seeing things, and some of my friends on Facebook have posted about this topic, so I thought I'd speak on it real quick and just see what the people think, see what you think. You're welcome to send in any messages, any comments that's related to this topic that will give us better insight on this topic and how to move forward. But only those that are truly trying to develop, truly trying to do better in life will get this message. Those that want to continuously be destructive and be a hindrance of our development in our community, they'll keep doing that, and gotta deal with them, because this topic of what I'm talking about, it's very destructive in many different ways. So if that's the path that someone wants to take and they think that's okay, that's on them. But it needs to be called out, and it needs to be identified for what it is, because it's such a serious topic. So just getting right to it. Parents, we shouldn't be using children as a weapon against each other. We shouldn't be using children as a weapon against each other. Children need both of their parents. Children need both of their parents. They need their mother just as much as they need their father, and they need their father just as much as they need their mother. They didn't pick who their parents are. They had no say in your union with whoever you laid down with. to produce them. And most likely, if you get to the point where you want to use them as a weapon to try to destroy the other parent, most likely the child didn't sign up for that either. Let me be loud and clear on that, because some of us are so delusional, so in our own feelings, and so selfish that we have tricked ourselves into believing that the child is an active participant in the destructive ways and practices that you're trying to do to destroy the other, whether it's the mother trying to destroy the father or the father trying to destroy the mother. But let's be honest, in our society, the woman most likely has more of an advantage to do that than the father. Most times, the children are with the mother. I mean, you carried them for 9 months. This system isn't for the black man, never has been, probably never will be. So, if you go downtown, that's what they want. This country doesn't want to see the real Trinity in motion, working together. The real Trinity. I'm not talking about the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's your own religious beliefs. I'm talking about the Father, meaning the biological father, the mother, and the children. That Trinity. They don't want to see that. Matter of fact, it's their worst nightmare. And those downtown talking about the domestic relations office, they hate black men. They hate black men. So if it's not necessary, why be an agent? Why be a helper of Satan himself to help destroy our family, which ultimately will destroy our community, and which will ultimately distort the thinking and the concepts of how your daughter or daughters or your son or your sons view proper, healthy relationships. Those are the destructive things that you are doing, whether you know it or not, when you deliberately try to use a child as a weapon against their own parent. Against their own parent, and they didn't ask for that. What child says, hey, mom, hey, dad, I want to help you destroy my mother or my father? What child does that? What child signs up for that? I don't know of that. Again, I work with children, me being a therapist and a counselor. I go into the home. I am a parent myself, and I have been working with youth for many years. I've never seen or heard of that. Now, I've seen and observed brainwashing. I've seen and observed that, but I really haven't seen no child unjustifiably that signs up to enter into a war to destroy their other parents. But let me make it clear about this child support business, this domestic relations business. Again, it's a new day. We have a lot of fathers out there stepping up to the plate, taking care of their children, and even taking and seeking custody of their children. But for the most part, if we had some statistics, and I don't have no statistics, just going off of the eye test and what I observe, most children, if the parents aren't together, they with their mother. Can I get a amen on that? So we on the same page. Most of the time, they with the mother. So y'all automatically have the advantage if there's a split up. But if you go to these domestic relations office, but before you get there, if you have a mother, and I've seen it, it's a lot of good mothers out there who are doing what they can to take care of their children. If you have a dad who refuses to take care of their responsibility and their children, I would just suggest that you do a few things or a few steps before you go to the demonic office downtown, who not only don't have the best interests of you or your family, but they certainly don't have the best interests of black men. Where's that proof at? Here's my suggestion. You got a man and you have 2, 3, or 1 child to him, whatever. We know what it costs to take care of children. He refuses to help you. I would say, go to his mother if she's alive. Go to the father. And if that don't work, go to his brothers or his sisters or his cousins or his friends and say, hey, I have a child with your friend, your son, your grandson, Jimmy. And I have reached out to him in a peaceful manner several times for him to do his responsibility and duty with our children or our child, and he refuses to comply. Can you please talk to him? Because I really don't want to go downtown to these people and open up a case. I want us to work this out between us. And all I want is for him to help me with these children. They require food. They require clothing. I got to keep the lights on. They got to get to school. They got to eat while they at school. The one boy wants to play basketball. The other girl wants to cheerlead and be in gymnastics. This costs. And he has given nothing. And he don't even get them. I'm just saying, if this is the case, reach out to the family. Then you know, and you have the peace of mind that you have exhausted every resource before you go to the devils. Okay? The same ones that have the same mindset is Willie Lynch. See what that says? Breaking the curse of Willie Lynch. But if you use the children as a weapon, you're enforcing the curse of Willie Lynch. And in my humble opinion, you are a traitor, treasonous, and a damn race traitor, because you are helping Satan himself in his plot and his plan to destroy us, just like Willie Lynch did back during slavery times. Well, Brother Shareef, I don't know who Willie Lynch is. Well, let me tell you who he was. He was a well-known slave trader in the British Isles back during slavery time. And then when the slave traders and owners here in America were having difficulty controlling us, they reached out to him because he had so many different slave plantations, meaning this Willie Lynch. And they said, sir, so they supposedly met with him in 1712 at the James River Bridge, meaning slave owners here and Willie Lynch. They supposedly met with him. Where's the James River Bridge? Have you ever went to Virginia Beach, Norfolk? You had to go over the James River Bridge because it's right there on Route 64 East, in case you didn't know. It is said at the banks of the James River Bridge, that's where they met. And Willie Lynch, with another book that looks like this, it's a slimmer book, but I gave it to someone, I gave it to a mother so she would know what Willie Lynch has done to us, and so she wouldn't fall into that trap. I gave her my book. I ain't sleeping with her, just passing along knowledge. But anyway, in this small pamphlet, the Willie Lynch letter, he says, to the slave owners here, he said, well, how are you controlling the slaves? And they said, well, if nigger gets out of control, we take him to the back of the quarters and we lash him. We give him some lashes. And Willie Lynch said, no, that's not the way you do it. He said, you get the biggest, baddest one on the slave plantation, the one that everyone respects, the biggest, baddest one, and you beat him within an inch of his life. And when his mother, his father, and in particularly his woman and his wife and his children see him screaming and hollering and begging for his life, they will know that they can no longer depend on him to protect them. He's not the leader no more. We're the leader. We're the provider because we broke his manhood. And to take it even further than that, you take one arm and one leg and tie it to a horse, pointing that way, and take the other leg and the other arm to the horse, pointing that way, and then set him on fire, and then bam, the horses will go in opposite directions and rip him apart. And when he screams and hollers for his life, they will definitely know they can no longer depend on him for protection or sustenance. That's who Willie Lynch is, in case you don't know. And then he said, if you follow this methodology, meaning using fear, envy, and distrust on the plantation, we will control them mentally for the next 300 years. Make small differences big differences. Put the thick-haired against the stringy-haired. Put the broad nose against the thin nose. Put the thick lip against the thin lip. The light skin against the dark skin. And they will get so caught up in these differences that they won't concentrate on what we're doing to them. They'll be at each other's throat. He said, just put this down. Use this methodology. This is Willie Lynch talking. And he said, I guarantee we'll have their minds, because the chains eventually got to come off. We will have their minds for the next 300 years. And he said, oh yeah, by the way, the real death blow is to have a role reversal within the family structure. This is how this is related to this topic and why it's so dangerous to use your children as a weapon against their father or their mother, but particularly the mother against the father. He said, we'll do a role reversal, meaning we'll put the woman at the head of the household, and we'll make the man strong-bodied to work for us, to till the field and to make us profitable on the slave plantation, but we'll make him weak in the mind. And we'll put the woman out in front, put the daughters out in front, so they will be the head of the household. Make the man strong-bodied and weak in mind. And then we'll have a role reversal, literally right in front of our face. So for the housing projects, who is running that house? The man ain't even allowed to be there. And if they find out, they'll put you out. And I've talked about this many times before. They know the power in the black man being there. Even to the point with the show Good Times. Esther Rolle, who was Florida Evans, she was approached by the producers and they tried to pressure her into having Good Times as her as a single mother. And she said, absolutely not. She said, I will not do this show without a black man and a king by my side. Man, salute, 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 salute to you, Esther Rolle, for standing up for us. And we briefly got a little snapshot of the power of the black family. We saw it. Even though it was a sitcom, it was real. James Evans was the father, Florida Evans, and then the children. They may not have had a lot. They may have lived in the project, but they were a family. And they had structure, and they had love. They had a gold mine in front of them. And then Satan did what he always does. He found a way to inject his vanity, and he still got James Evans, as we know is John Amos, off of the show. He had an accident. But he was a problem from the beginning because they never wanted him on the show. And then a lot of people don't know John Amos, a.k.a. James Evans. He wanted Thelma and Michael to be the stars of the show. He said, why does James Evans, the buffoon, not James Evans, J.J. Evans, the buffoon and the clown, why does he have to be the star? But Thelma was going to college. She was educated. Michael wanted to go to college, and he was black conscious. They didn't like that. So they said, this Negro got to go. So they got him off of the show. But we got a snapshot of the power of a black family. Now, in 2020, in this day and age, child support really didn't come into law until 1935, and then they start enforcing it in 1975 here in America. And they said it is for families, and particularly mothers, that are in a destitute situation due to death of a father or a parent or divorce. And to prevent the woman or the father, but most likely the woman, from being destitute, they start enacting child support. That was just in 1975. Now here we are. Now it's being used as a tool and a weapon to destroy black families. For those who have been in that situation for whatever reason, have you ever heard of any programs that whoever comes down there to file the case, they say, okay, Miss Johnson, it's very important that your children have both parents. How about you and the father come down here for a parenting class to see if there's any way that we can salvage your relationship, salvage your marriage, or at the least have some parenting classes for y'all to properly co-parent with these children so y'all are not warring with each other, which will ultimately be the best for the children. Have you ever heard of such of a program? I'm up for correction, but please let me know if it's such of a thing or if you heard of such a thing. Because thank God I've never been taken to domestic relations, so I don't know all the ins and outs, but I know Satan. I know they mind, and I know they follow Willie Lynch. Can someone, I know we got some sisters on this line, and I thank you. Is there any such program as parenting classes at the domestic relations office that will try to help the family structure stay together? And if you can't stay together, prevent the mother and the father from warring from each other, which will ultimately be a detriment to the children. Is there any such thing? I'll wait. No? No parenting classes, because they hate black men. And obviously, some of us hate black men because with your traitorous Benedict Arnold ass, your first go-to when the relationship don't work is to go to Satan. And it's really sick, really wicked, when the man is actually in the lives of the children, actually providing for them. And we even got brothers out here that are providing for children that are not biologically theirs. We got plenty brothers that are stepping up to the plate. He's taking care of his children. He's getting his children, and you still go down there? Why? Because you're bitter? Okay, it didn't work out between you and him. Okay, it was people during biblical and Quranic times that divorced and didn't get along. Did they go to Herod, who was the evil leader at that time, and say, hey, Herod, I know you wicked, but let's team up on this one and let's bury this nigger. I hate his guts. I can't stand him. And for the love of God, I hope it ain't men who may have their children going to the domestic relations office on a woman. For the love of God, I hope that ain't going on. How punk and pussified can that be? Unless there is a situation, like I said, how domestic relations started out in 1935 and 1975. It was put in place for destitute families, someone who is destitute. Do you know what that means? It didn't say it was for mothers or fathers who were bitter, who are pissed off because they're not with the mother or the father anymore, pissed off because the father moved on, or pissed off because the mother moved on, but mostly pissed off because the father moved on. It didn't say that. It said it was a program set up for parents, mostly a mother, who was destitute due to the death or the divorce of the biological father. Not from you being bitter, not from you using unwilling participants who are the children as weapons against the father. That ain't what it says. You are helping the devil destroy black and brown families and communities, and you're destroying your family and destroying your children and giving them a distorted perception of what relationships should be and how to resolve conflict. Okay, some people don't get along. You can't go to court for child support and then raise your hand if the judge says, is there anything else? And you say, I got a tax issue. The judge going to say, well, this ain't the forum for that. This is a court, but you're going to have to get a tax attorney to handle that. So if you're bitter because of whatever reason with the dad, this ain't the time in the forum to display your bitterness. Go get a damn counselor. Go talk to your pastor. Go talk to someone who got some sense to help you get through that. But most likely the children are unwilling participants to destroy their dad. No matter how sorry he may be, that'll be their dad to the end of time. And no matter how sorry the mother may be, that will be their mother to the end of time. Most likely the child is not no willing participant to help destroy their father, especially if he is doing what he's supposed to do. That makes it unspeakable that you got a man doing what he's supposed to do to the best of his ability, getting his children, supporting them mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, especially if it's children that ain't his. And you go to the damn domestic relations office? And then these be some of the same ones. Oh, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Well, I guess not. Because every weapon you can get your hands on, the kitchen sink, the pot, the pan, the broom, and the domestic relations office, you done took all the damn weapons. So I guess no weapon formed against you will prosper because you're using every damn weapon that you can get your hands on to destroy the other one. So I guess no weapons formed against you will prosper. But guess what? There's a God above. And he don't want to be having his children, meaning innocent children, used as no weapon to divide the family. And I want to make this crystal clear for the sisters out there working and doing what they can for their children. All I'm saying is, if you got a man and he ain't doing what he's supposed to do, just take a few more steps before you have to do that. Exhaust all your resources before you do that. I humbly ask you that because I'm concerned about our community, and I'm a father. Exhaust all your resources. Go to the man's mother. Go to the man's father, his brothers, his cousins, his boys, somebody that you think he connects with, and say, hey, I got these children and I'm almost destitute. I'm struggling. I've reached out to this man and he ain't responding. He ain't doing what he's supposed to do. I don't want to go down there, but he's giving me no choice. Can you please talk to him? And if you don't get nowhere with that, then you got to do what you got to do, unfortunately. But the children got to eat. They got to go to school. They need clothes on their back. So sisters who have been in that situation, I'm not referring to you. I'm talking about these goddamn race traders. Because that's what it is. I know the audience, you probably never heard it quite framed like this. You probably heard people say, oh, she took me to domestic relations. But I'm saying they're race traders based off of this. The Willie Lynch, because that was his goal. That was his purpose, to divide the family. They're race traders. And they're destructive, and they're destroying the minds and the perceptions of innocent children who didn't ask to engage in this war against their own parents. What does that look like? You engaging a child in a war against their own biological parent who they can't divorce. You can divorce that man. That man can divorce you. You can get 5 other husbands, 5 other boyfriends. He can get 5 other girlfriends, 5 other wives. But you can't divorce your parents. Let them come up with their own determination and come up with their own thought process of their parents. And if for whatever reason the child says, which I doubt, because the Quran says it's a mystical ties between children and their parents, I bet you they'll come back. They'll come back no matter almost what that father or mother does or don't do. At some point in their life, because it's natural, they'll come back. But let them make that determination that they don't want nothing to do with their mother or father. Let them, you don't make it up for them. That's not for you to determine. Now, if the father or the mother is doing something detrimental to their health or well-being, that's another story. But because you bitter, and because you don't know how to control your emotions, and because you're selfish, you pissed off, you didn't get your way, you're going to now use the child is a weapon against his mother or father, in particular father. And it's really wicked if the man is already doing, or at least attempting to do what he's supposed to do, fathering his children. And you're going to go down there? The children are watching. They're watching. This isn't for you. This isn't the ludicrous show, meaning I move, you move, just like that. The hell? No, it don't work like that. It isn't I move, you move, just like that. No. Let the children make up their mind, and you stay out of it. You just make sure they're safe. But don't help Satan destroy the family, a family that's already fractured, and you're going to go down there. The parents should be able to come together and say, all right, it didn't work. You did some things. I did some things. Okay. How are we going to take care of these children? How are we going to provide for them so they can be successful? How about that conversation? But many of our sisters, because they so bitter and that's the only thing that they've been taught, the first thing they do, I'm going to domestic relations on you. Damn, did you? And again, this ain't for the sisters who've been left destitute. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the wicked ones who is helping Satan destroy the families. Race traders, because they don't like black men. I go to the York County building downtown. Not for that, but because I'm a counselor and therapist, children and youth is down there. So I'm in that office quite often. People may not know it. And just their disposition, just their whole aura about them tells it not only don't they like black people, but they particularly don't like black men. Where are the programs to help save black families if they really for us? But you're all running to your white boyfriend, which is the domestic relations office, to solve your problem. And you still ain't happy. Still ain't happy. Because you ain't doing what's right in some instances. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Oh, really? That's very interesting. Well, it is what it is, but this greatly affects our children if we don't know it. They watching mommy and daddy yell at each other, go to war with each other. Their first example of a proper, healthy relationship is us. What is it that you think you're achieving by participating in such an evil and wicked act? What do you think you're teaching them? I like to know what you're thinking. And I hope whoever gets this message, if you have went down that track and you know it wasn't justified, I pray that you sit and think and do some self-reflection, especially if a man is trying and doing what he can. Don't use those children as a weapon. They didn't sign up for that. To destroy their own parent. They ain't signed up for that. I know they haven't. What child does that? I've seen children that have been victims of unspeakable acts by one or the other parents. And as time went along, somehow, just like a boomerang, no matter how far you throw that boomerang, it does what? It does what? It always comes back. Because that's the natural order of things. It may not be your typical mother-daughter relationship or son-mother relationship or whatever, but somehow, some way, those children come back and you're not whole without both parents. That's why I respect and love my father so much, Sidney Howard. May he rest in peace. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that man. When him and my mother separated, I stayed with my dad. I didn't have a great relationship with my mother. He never said nothing derogatory or tried to brainwash me against my mother. And even though I was hurt because of their split up and some things in their divorce and some things that had happened, when it was clear to me who was in the wrong and who was in the right, my father said, son, it is okay. And he said, one day, you and your mother will reunite and have a mother and a son relationship. He could have threw her under the bus and would have been justified doing it. But he never did that. I went and stayed with my father, not my dad. I've never had a dad, but I have had a father. A dad is just a sperm donor, a man that lays down with a woman and injects his sperm into her, and then a child comes about. That's a dad. But I had a father. And father is the root word of further. Someone who can take you further in life, mentally, physically, spiritually, educationally, and emotionally. I've had a father, and his name was Sidney Howard. May he rest in peace. I don't know where I would be without him. But the point is, he didn't try to turn me and use me as a weapon against my mother. And he could have very easily did it. But he was a God-fearing man. And he knew how that would damage me. Damage any future relationships I have with women. Could have me turn and hate women. He didn't want that of me. So he was careful not to use me as a weapon against my mother. He could have went to domestic relations. He had me. Never did no such thing. And real men don't do that pussy shit anyway, unless they destitute. This is destroying our family. That's why I'm so adamant and passionate about it. Because now you got boys who've seen this destruction and this destructive behavior, and now they wreaking havoc and we don't know the origin. Or women, particularly our sisters, who hate black men, despise them. And we wonder where it came from. It comes from the teacher. Who's the mother? Many times. That's where it comes from. They the first teacher. They're not teaching the science of relationships in the school system. They should. But they're not. So you can't blame it on them. Where else is the perceptions that children have about healthy relationships coming from? They learning, right? They watch it all. That's why I watch my tone of voice around my boys. I don't do all that arguing and screaming and hollering around them. Now, if someone else wants to do that, I don't participate in that because I know my boys are watching. Like the ghetto boys said, I got little boys to look after. And if I die, then my child will be a bastard. I once had a woman down with me, but to me it seems like she was down with getting me. She held me out in this shit. Do you feel what the hour of power is saying before I sign off? Does anyone have any questions or comments on this serious issue? Do you feel what I'm saying? Are we understood about this message? It's a very important message because one way or another, it affects us all. Because one of these boys or girls that may have been given this distorted view, they may come and try to marry your son or your daughter. Man, I love y'all, man. Brother John, Brother Lawrence, Brother Jonathan Barnes, I really love y'all. I appreciate y'all's support. And I'm just trying to lift up our people. I know it comes across a little raw, but if we don't see the seriousness in this, something is wrong. I leave you in peace as I came. Assalamu alaikum.